I was supposed to keep the legacy. You were supposed to be great, but you sucked.
I have been a Halo fan for a very long time, actually for as long as I can remember. Combat Evolved was the first game that I ever played, and I, as many others, have that cliché story of landing on the Halo ring for the very first time and just being absolutely amazed by the sight. I have lots of great memories and nostalgia for the franchise, and Halo 3 is probably my favorite game of all time. However, it's fair to say that Halo has been in a dark spot for at least a decade now. Some will argue that the downfall started with Reach, some will argue that the downfall started with Halo 4. My opinion shortly is that Halo Reach is a game that coexisted just fine with Halo 3. It's not that 343's games are all bad. Halo 4 had a decent story. Actually, that's really the only good thing I can mention about it. And even the story has some flaws. Halo 5 had an awful campaign, but a multiplayer that a lot of people liked, but also a good amount of people found it too competitive. Tough to argue that. Halo Infinite has a good core gameplay experience, and for the first time since 343 took over, an overall solid campaign experience was delivered. Though Halo Infinite failed in more ways than it succeeded, and the campaign wasn't perfect by any means. Is Halo dead? I find it very hard to believe that. My best guess is that the franchise is in some kind of rebuilding phase, with 343 only focusing on multiplayer for now, and future single player experiences will probably be outsourced to other studios. But of course, my guess is as good as anyone else's. The fact that we went from a trilogy that revolutionized the FPS genre and broke records with Halo 2 and 3 to this makes me just sad. Some people will say that there just isn't a demand anymore for classic Halo. I find it difficult to draw such a conclusion when we really haven't had anything like Halo 3 since Halo 3. 20 million people jumped into Halo Infinite at launch. I know it's a free multiplayer game and a lot of people just want to check it out, but doesn't that tell you anything? It tells me at least that a lot of people would like to have a great Halo experience again. A lot of people are left because of the state of quality that the franchise is in, not because they think the formula of the old games suck. I believe that if Microsoft played their cards right, Halo could be a powerhouse again, with a great multiplayer, great stories, remakes of old games and loads of spin-off games, and I guess that is what I wanted to talk about today. If we start to talk about spin-off games, it's really weird that we haven't seen more of this when it comes to Halo. Halo has one of the richest expanded universes in gaming, and that is something partially at least we can thank 343 for. However, it seems that the focus on books is a little bit too much. I think killing off the Rookie, for example, in New Blood is fucking stupid. I know, it's a great book, but why couldn't that great idea of a story happen in a follow-up to Halo 3 ODST? I don't know if Microsoft and 343 know how much potential Halo spin-off games have and how much they can milk out of it. There are numerous genres you could do, like stealth games. HiddenExperia talked about an Arbiter Souls game that sounded awesome, a new RTS game, a tactical shooter, or the Flood horror game that so many people have dreamed about for so long now. You could also do so many smaller FPS campaigns telling different stories. Halo spin-offs have so much potential, and it baffles me that we barely have gotten anything both during the Bungie and 343 era. However, I don't think spin-off games are where to start. I do think that Microsoft have missed out a lot on Halo spin-offs over the years, but I think the mainline games need to reach a high popularity before you can start to pump out spin-off games. Take Halo Wars 2 for example, a great game that still hasn't received a conclusion to its story and probably never will, unless they make Halo Wars 3 one day, fingers crossed. And that is probably because it didn't do good enough. It probably suffered from the fact that Halo as a whole wasn't in a good spot when the game released. And it still isn't. So, what is the best way for Halo to start rebuilding? Well, one could obviously be to make a new mainline Halo game. And everything that would need to be done right about that is probably a subject big enough for another video. I will say though, I hope they do not make another goddamn reboot of the story. Please, I wanna see Atriox as the main villain so bad. Alright, to the point. I will mention HiddenExperia again in this video and suggest the same thing as he did, a remake. While I really liked his idea of remaking Combat Evolved, partially because it deserves it, since the Anniversary Remaster isn't faithful at all, and also because there's a lot of expanded universe material from the events of Combat Evolved you could try and put into the game in some shape or form. My suggestion, however, is that you start off with the game where Halo peaked, Halo 3. Halo 3 has everything we all love about Halo, and remaking it could really show Microsoft that there is still a demand for a good Halo game. It's so rich of content and appeals to the casual and competitive fanbase so much. It also has an amazing campaign experience. You could add new content to the game but also give modes like Forge a really good buff. There isn't really any expanded universe material connected directly to Halo 3, at least as far as I'm concerned, so it's harder to expand on the campaign. However, that doesn't mean it is impossible, and it would be really cool to see brand new content added to the story in some shape or form. And I also think that the core gameplay in Halo 3 is the peak of the franchise, so I don't think you would have to change much about that. I'm not saying Halo 3 is the best option though. One problem with this is that the story isn't really welcoming for newcomers, since it's a direct follow-up and conclusion to the story in Halo 2. So in that sense, remaking Halo Combat Evolved makes a lot more sense. As I said, I think a remake is the best way to go. We have seen before that franchises have been getting new entries after the success of a good, faithful remake. I really do believe that a good remake could do Halo wonders, and that it would give Microsoft a lot of momentum for the next big game. As you understand by now, I really do think Halo could have a bright future. It's a franchise with so much potential, despite the fact it already has achieved so many things over the last 2 decades, and it just sucks that it doesn't seem like Microsoft understands that. The fact that incompetence and bad leadership has put this franchise in a pretty dark place makes me sad as a longtime fan, and I really hope that we one day will experience a truly awesome Halo game together again. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you liked it. I will be posting more videos about my thoughts on video games.